Welcome to Rose K DIY and Design. Today we are going to make a burlap earring holder. Come on, let's get started. Okay, to make a burlap earring holder, we start off with a frame. This is a wood frame and I have already painted it. And I went ahead and installed two Sawtooth hooks. So the frame is ready to go. I have a piece of burlap that I cut, and I cut slightly bigger than the frame when looking at the back, and that's so that it can fit in the rabbit edge in the inside of the frame. Now when you buy your burlap, it more likely comes in a bolt and it will be a little wrinkled. So you can see there's a little bit of a fold here. So we're going to need to iron that to make sure we have the best look for our earring holder. Okay, to hot glue this piece of burlap in, we are going to make sure when we press it in, it will be centered. We're going to put a bead of hot glue right here, right in the corner of this rabbit. And the hot glue does dry quickly, so we gotta move fast. And I'll press that in there. I have a great tool, a large popsicle stick. And it is great so that your fingers don't get burnt. And you can press this in and everything stays fairly straight. Okay, so next side. The hot glue. You can only do one side at a time. Don't try to do more. Think that you can get it all down, because you won't. Hot glue will dry before you get everything down. So I have tried that. Okay, once you get two sides down, you want to take a pause, because you have to wait for it to get a little bit stronger. Otherwise, when you try to pull on these other two sides, it'll pull this away. So we're going to take a quick break and be right back. Okay, I'm back from a break. I went ahead and applied hot glue, and as I was putting the burlap down, I was pulling with one hand, with my left hand, because I'm right-handed. So I was pulling with my left hand and then pressing, pulling, pressing, pulling, pressing, because you want that to be taut. Otherwise, you will have a saggy burlap, and nobody wants that. Okay, so we have the last side right here, and we're gonna do the same thing. Put the glue in the crook of it. Make sure you get plenty of glue, but not too much, or it will come on and spill out the front of your frame. And nobody likes that either. Okay, so I'm pulling and pressing, pulling and pressing. And so that's why we had to take that break, because if I pulled after I had just glued those other two sides, they would have just come right off and we would have had a mess. Okay. I think hot glue isn't really hot anymore, so I can press it with my fingers. Okay, so if I flip it over for a quick check, looks like there's one spot that did spill over. Oopsie. And there's a little spot right here. I think I can get that with my fingernail as I hold the back. I should be able to get that. And so I'll take a look at that in a little bit. But for now, looks like we got all four sides. I'm gonna go back around and put a bead as far down as I can in the rabbit, and then I'll trim and we'll be done. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm finishing up. I'm doing the last side of that second round of hot glue. And I'm just putting it in there. You could trim earlier, but then you might actually burn your fingers. And so the beauty of this is that the burlap is longer and you have something to hold on to and pull to get that fabric in there. You can tap it a little bit with your popsicle stick and you will be just fine. Okay, so next step is to cut off the extra burlap. And so we're just going to stick the scissors like this, and we're just going to go along the edge and trim it all off. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Okay, I have all of the burlap trimmed off, and I went ahead and I'm starting to place these felt pads. These felt pads are in the furniture moving section. Sometimes they're put under a chair or a lamp, or even the larger ones, maybe a couch. And that's so that you don't have your floor scratched, and it makes it easier to move. Well, in this case, for my picture frames, it helps to keep everything nice so that it doesn't get scratches on the wall, the paint gets scratched, or things like that. Okay, and it also gives me a little bit extra room, so when you stick those earrings through, it gives me an extra 1/4 inch about for extra clearance for those earrings. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hang this up at the wall and style it for you, and you can see what the finished product looks like. Be back in just a moment. Okay, one last thing. You could leave this just how it is, but this particular customer wants a distressed look, so I have my sanding block. This is a fine sanding block, and I'm just going to go ahead and rub on some of the edges, and we'll get a lightly distressed look. And it's up to you how much you want to sand. And I have different listings on my Etsy shop. That's createdforyoushop.etsy.com, and some of them are more distressed than others. And so depending on which listing you buy, you would get a more distressed product on certain listings than on others. Okay. About done, I think, or how I want it. Okay, I think it looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off. As you see, you get a little bit on your hands. Get a cloth. A tack cloth is preferable, but you could just do a damp washcloth and follow it up with something dry. Okay, be back in a few minutes. Okay, we're back with the finished product. And with the hooks I hung on the back, you could hang this vertically as shown or horizontally. Both would look great. And so now all you have to do is get started on your own project, and then you will have great organization for your wall. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye.